what is going on with the federal government? I mean, seriously, what is going on? In this episode of the Range Minded Podcast, we revisit the assault weapons ban bill that just passed the House. I find another bill that blows my mind that the House is working on. We talk about craziness with the ATF that you've probably come across or seen. And then I find something else about the census that is absolutely berserk. Also, I find an awesome quote by Alexander Hamilton, which I think you need to be posting all over the internet. Anyways, hope you enjoy this episode of the Range Minded Podcast. Alexander Hamilton was quoted as saying, "If the federal government should overpass the just bounds of its authority and make a tyrannical use of its powers, the people, whose creature it is, must appeal to the standard they have formed, and take such measures to redress the injury done to the Constitution as the exigency may suggest, and prudence justify." What does that mean? Well, what it means is, if the federal government oversteps its bounds and becomes tyrannical, it is up to us, the citizens, to repair the damage to the Constitution, and to do it with urgency and with importance, with a directive. Are we doing that? Does it feel like the government has overstepped its bounds? This is a few things I want to talk about today, and we're going to finally address some things that have been in the news for a couple weeks now. First of all, let's jump to, let's see, not that one. Yes, this one. Nope. Sorry, this is terrible radio right now. So, if you've been living under a rock, if you have not been paying attention to what's going on in the world right now, or at least in the world of firearms and the United States and the Second Amendment, you surely should have heard about H.R. 1808, which is the modern version of the assault weapons ban, which took place in the 90s. A lot of the same ideas and concepts were resurrected in this bill, and it absolutely oversteps and is far bigger than what the 90s assault weapons ban was all about. And if you need a little bit of history lesson, Joe Biden was a sponsor and I think even the author of the 1992 assault weapons ban. And just so you know, an assault weapon is a made-up term to generate fear in the public. I'm just going to throw that in there. So in H.R. 1808, what does it cover? Now, there are pages and pages and absolute pages of stuff in this bill. The actual bill itself is only the first few pages. Was it 2 pages maybe? And the rest is naming, it's just line after line of naming specific firearms by specific manufacturers. So, first of all, it defines what an assault weapon is. Now, an assault weapon in their understanding or in their literature, this bill, is anything that is semi-automatic, capable of, if it has an internal magazine, anything over 10 rounds. If it accepts an external magazine, or in their case, a high-capacity feeding device, over 10 rounds, it's an assault weapon. If it has a telescoping buttstock, if it has a threaded barrel, if it has a grenade launcher, a bayonet lug, a barrel shroud, certain optics, it's considered an assault weapon. But this bill didn't stop there. Oh, no. It also includes any semi-automatic shotgun capable of accepting more than 5 rounds. So that would include some of those fun little shotguns that can shoot those little micro shells or whatever. Anything over 5 rounds in a shotgun. But they didn't stop there. Oh, no. It also includes any semi-automatic handgun capable of accepting, if it has an internal magazine, accepting more than 10 rounds, or if it accepts an external feeding device, i.e. high-capacity magazine, over 10 rounds, that is also an assault weapon. That is bullshit. anything that is capable of accepting a high capacity magazine. I'll have you know that every Glock that I have ever bought comes with a standard capacity magazine. My 17s all have 17 round mags. My 19 has 15 round mags. My little 22 has a 10 round mag, which is fine. It comes with, but the new Taurus, their little 22, that's what, 20 some 19 rounds, 21 rounds. So, yeah. Hello. Are you listening? Anything, any modern firearm that is out there that are being purchased uh, falls under this act. Now, if you haven't noticed or you haven't heard, the House passed this bill. Nancy Pelosi had some shenanigans. She made stuff happen, and this passed the House. Two Republicans defected and jumped over on the anti-gun side. One of them, I don't remember their names. Honestly, I don't care. They're turncoats. One of them isn't running for office, so he didn't care anyways. So obviously, he was already a turncoat. And the other guy, I can't remember his story, but I'm sure when they got elected, they were absolutely pro-gun until they weren't. The one good thing is 5 Democrats voted against this bill, but it still wasn't quite enough. They passed the bill by 4 votes. Now it goes to the Senate. This is what brings us today. And of today, it is the 2nd of August, 2022. The Senate will be receiving this bill soon, the next few days. They will be hearing this bill, and they will be voting on this bill. Now, on the pro Second Amendment side, we believe that it does not have the support in the Senate, and it most likely will not pass. But that doesn't mean we can't be heard. That doesn't mean that we should sit on our laurels and do nothing and then complain when things don't go the way that we felt that they should. We as citizens, it is our duty as citizens to make our voices heard. Jump back. If you have to scoot back and listen to that Hamilton quote again, do it. When the government oversteps its bounds, it is our job, it is our duty to amend the Constitution. And we have to do it a little bit quicker than not. All right, so if now you're kind of caught up to date on 1808. Now, like I said, there is pages of each firearm, like firearms named specifically, the model numbers, the manufacturers, very specific about what's covered in this bill. They've been busy. Now, if you think that they just threw this bill together within the last couple weeks, you're kidding yourself. They've been working on stuff like this for years. These bills are written. They just add whatever they need to bring it up to date, and they have them in file cabinets waiting to go. You know that that's the case. Don't be kidding yourself. All right, so today I heard something interesting, and there's a couple things that we'll be getting into as well. So something that goes hand in hand with HR. I looked at is it no? Yeah, something hand in hand that goes with 1808 is HR 8051. I've just found out about this bill today, and it's been written for quite a while. Looks like the text was written on June 14th. It's been up there, but I didn't know about this until today, until another YouTube personality that I follow along. Oh, excuse me, it's late. Brought this up, and I came across it on his feed, and immediately my blood boiled. What is HR 8051? Well, let me read you the text. So the introduction of the bill says HR 8051 is to amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to impose an additional 1,000% excise tax on the sale of large capacity ammunition feeding devices and semi-automatic assault weapons, and for other purposes. I love that I always put that "and for other purposes" on those bills. It's like, well, this is what we want it to cover, but we're going to put this on there in case we want it to cover some other things as well. So in 1808, the previous bill that we just talked about, it defines what the semi-automatic assault weapons are in their definitions, and each one of those definitions are carried over to 8051. But they want this to go through to be an additional 1,000% tax. I'm kind of curious. Maybe you guys should look this up and see what the tax was on the tea that they threw over the harbor in Boston. Now, am I calling for a revolt or a physical protest? Not necessarily. No, I don't think that has quite the repercussions as we do now. We have to fight this a little strategically. Now, I'm not talking NRA strategic because that's doing nothing but taking money. I'm talking about making your voices heard. You need to get on the phone with your representation. You need to get on there and tell them how you feel about this bill, and to, well, if you support the Second Amendment, tell them to vote no. This is disgusting. This is abuse of power, and this is tyranny. Maybe you guys don't remember what really happened, or think back in your history books about what really caused the Revolutionary War. It wasn't just taxation; it was abuses of power from the king. You need to find some good history books and look it up. He was being a tyrant. He was bringing people to trial, setting their dates back, so they were stuck in jail until they could actually have a trial. Hence, we talk about having a speedy trial. It's because good old King George was forcing things back. Look up what started. Oh my gosh! Now I just forgot the name of it. Concord. Look up what started the Battle of Concord. You might be interested to really understand what happened there. So much of what's deliberately written in our founding documents, that's there because of things that they'd experienced. They don't put that information in there just for fun. That gives the government something to debate over. All of our rights are written in the Bill of Rights for a purpose. All the things that our founding fathers, now they didn't have a crystal ball. They couldn't look ahead and find out that John Moses Browning was going to be alive and firearms were going to develop in a different way than what they were used to. Now, technology was far superior than what we give granted, what we give or think there was back in the day of this country's founding. There were some pretty amazing firearms that existed at that time. The Second Amendment is not about hunting. It is not about muskets. It is not about heritage, honestly. Again, revisit that Hamilton quote. Look up the words you don't understand, digest the quote, and think about what he is saying. Which brings me to the next thing I wanted to talk about. Let me see if I've got it. Yes, Amoland. So this, I heard the same time, actually, pretty much the same time this morning as I found out about the 1,000% tax. Amoland broke this story on July 15th of this year, 22. So it turns out the Department of Commerce Census Bureau requested certain sales records, is what they're saying, of holster manufacturers. Now, not every holster manufacturer got one of these letters from the census. The two that are in this particular article are JM4 Tactical and On Your Six Holsters. Large manufacturers. Large. The census demanded that they reveal information not just of what holsters they're selling. Usually when the Census Bureau sends out business demographic information, they want to know like the the sex of the business owner, you know, if they're whatever, black, white, whatever. They want to know the demographics of the business. That's usually, and it's not uncommon, that the Census Bureau asks for that information. What is uncommon and what is disgusting is they were asking these holster companies for information of what kind of holsters were being sold or purchased from their customers, the dates of the purchases, the addresses of where those holsters got delivered, and stuff that was way out of bounds, way out of bounds. This is not business demographic information, and we haven't heard of any, and maybe there was. We'll give them a benefit of a doubt, even though they probably don't need it. I haven't heard of any other businesses that have had to divulge information of what their customers are buying and their shipping addresses. How is that in any way, shape, or form necessary information from the census report? Now, they said they had a pretty strongly worded letter, and let's see if I can. I'd actually heard an audio interview from these folks. Oh, yeah, so here is a notice from, this is to the JM4 Tactical. It says, our records indicate that we have not received your 2022, it's hard to read the information, something flow survey. It's hard to read that. Maybe I'm just going blind. Please complete the survey online and blah, blah, blah. So they made it sound like that this information was required. They had to provide this information. It looks like, oh man, stupid ads. Oh, this article is really not that big. Oh no, this is the second. Nope, that's just an ad. Stupid advertisements. So it's, oh no, this is it. This is what they were requesting. So the information, location ID, shipment information. So they wanted the information of the purchasers. They wanted the invoice number or shipment number for each shipment, the dates of the shipments, the dollar value of the shipments, and any electronic records associated to that transaction, the weights of those shipments, the product description, or the commodity. Let's see, and if it was needed to be climate controlled, which is kind of weird, the zip codes, the city or U.S. destination, the state. Provide all models of transport in U.S. destination. So they wanted model numbers. Man. So this is information that this is very inappropriate for the Census Bureau. Way outside the purview. Which brings me to another thing that I wanted to talk about. Maybe you have seen the videos of ATF agents visiting gun buyers that had multiple handgun purchases. Now, we've talked about multiple handguns, I think, before, multiple handgun purchases. So what happens as a dealer, when you sell more than one handgun or more than one lower receiver, so like think about like an AR lower receiver, anything serialized, you have to do a multiple sales report. That information goes to the ATF, and it goes to the sheriff's office. What's on that multiple sales report is the make, model, and serial number of the gun or receiver, and obviously some of the other information like dates, purchase, that kind of thing. And again, that goes to the ATF and it goes to the sheriff's office. Most of your local law enforcement isn't terribly concerned about any kind of multiple handgun report, but apparently the ATF, which by the way also got a huge budget to hire more agents, just so you know, they're visiting these homes, not dealers. They're visiting the homes of these people that have purchased the multiples. And there's a few different videos rolling around. if you get a visit from the ATF, first of all, you don't know if it's the ATF. Anybody can print off a badge, a paper badge, or buy an official looking metal badge off the internet nowadays. Anybody can. So there's the first problem: is you don't know if this is a federal agent, even if they identify themselves, wherever. You still do not know. So if you get a visit from somebody like this, be polite, but I would suggest calling the sheriff's office. Do not call the police department. They don't hold as much authority as your local sheriff's office. Call the sheriff, let him know what's going on, and have him visit. Now, what the ATF agents are looking for is somebody to open their doors and let them in. Once you let an agent come in, they are free to search your home. You've basically consented to a search. If they have justable cause to come to your home, if they have a reason to be there, they will have a warrant. If you haven't broken the law and they don't have any reason to be there, you can simply ask them to leave. They have no warrant. You do not have to consent to any kind of search. Now, again, if they have a warrant, that's a different story. But those warrants have to be issued by a judge, and they have to prove probable cause of why they need a warrant. That's why I'm saying call the sheriff's office and have them bring a deputy down, or hopefully the sheriff shows up. It's a gross overreach from an agency that gets its power from the DOJ, sure, but they are definitely overreaching their bounds, which is the beautiful thing about most recent Supreme Court ruling, to where it's telling the ATF that they can't use Chevron deference anymore. They have to go to the original text of the Second Amendment to come up with their rules and regulations. Which maybe you've also seen the video of the ATF agent lady. So the ATF can go visit a dealer at any time unannounced to go through their A&D books, acquisition and disposition books. Those A&D books have, by federal law, that the dealer is required to record every transaction with every serial number of every firearm that they move in and out of the store, in and out of the store. So anytime you acquire a firearm from a vendor, whether it be distribution or the manufacturer, you have to record the make, model, and serial number of that firearm without mistake. I mean, this is very severe. Like, there are people losing their license over mistakes. Your A&D books have to be perfect. Anyway, and then anytime that gun is sold, you show a disposition that you sold that book. It changed custody. Let's put it that way, from a dealer to the end user. Hence, that's again kind of goes back to the multiple sales report. Same kind of deal. Okay, they know that serial number has left the building, left the FFL's premises. So an agent or agents can come anytime unannounced to a dealer as part of your agreement of having your FFL, and they can go through your A&D book and your physical inventory, and not if, they will. I have experienced this more than once. They visit you and they physically have to look at your serial numbers. They have to look at the book. Well, this gal, I'm not sure which gun store it was, but she was taking photographs with a personal phone of the A&D book of this particular FFL holder. In my experience, whenever I've been there for an audit, they have never done that. Why are they doing it now? What's changed? We need to know what their policies are. It's pretty disgusting. Again, a gross overreach of things that they're doing. Man, why does every one of these shows have to be negative? Like, why the last few shows have been like, hey, you need to get on the horn, you need to make your voice heard. This should be the golden age of the Second Amendment. We have had in 2021 there was almost 40 million background checks done at the end of 21. It was like 38.8 million, something like that. So this should be the absolute golden age of firearms ownership. There should be so many people, new members of pro Second Amendment groups at the state and the federal level, almost, I guess you could say, that are pro gun. Why aren't these people making their voices heard? There are somewhere around 100 million gun owners in the United States, give or take. There are somewhere around 24 million AR-15 style rifles in circulation in private hands that they know of. Now, I'm sure that number is much higher. Why are they attacking law-abiding gun owners? Now they're going to say, well, it's not attacking. We have to do our due diligence and make sure things aren't going bad. Sure, I get that. There are some good reasons. Oh my goodness, sorry. It's a long day. There are some good reasons for them to have some of these protocols that I don't disagree with. But when you have an agency with very little oversight, basically writing law, infringing on the rights of the citizens without any kind of recourse, they pretty much have a free ticket. Why are we standing for this? Why are we letting stuff happen like this? And every minute that we let go by and not say anything, they do one more stupid thing. And then we have to complain about it. I have to get on the podcast and complain about it, and you have to hear me rant about it. Because all of us, as gun owners, have been too lazy to tell them no. There are some amazing guns coming out. There is so much new cool stuff coming out, and we will talk about that. We'll have some new stuff coming out to talk about. But instead of enjoying something that is very normal in the United States, gun ownership, not gun violence. Violence should not be normal. The tool that they use to inflict violence happens to be a gun. A lot of the times, not all the time. We should be talking about the cool stuff going on. And it's hard for me to ignore it. Maybe you guys are saying, well, yeah, why don't you? Because it's shit like this that's hard for me to ignore that I feel like you guys need to hear. There's no reason for the government to be pulling these shenanigans. They're consistently demonizing gun owners. They want to make gun owners into terrorists. They want to make the gun owners into people that they put on watch lists. You might think that's hyperbolic and that's a bunch of bull. But one day it's not going to be. A mutual friend a friend of a friend was just put on, apparently, I'm going to find more information about this, but on a terror watch list. He's not a terrorist. He's never made any kind of stupid threats, domestic threats. But because he's outspoken in the community, he's been deemed a threat. Look at Kyle Rittenhouse. There's a lot of things that we all could say, well, he shouldn't have been there, whatever. Yeah, that I don't disagree 100%. But he was justified in saving his own life. Look what they did to that kid. They ruined his life. They demonize law-abiding gun owners, those that are defending themselves with a firearm, justified, They're not. We're not the ones going around causing problems. We're not the ones going around and because of major psychological issues. We're not the ones going in and shooting up parades or shooting malls or whatever. Those are people with mental health issues. Those are the people that you hear consistently. We had them on our radar, but we didn't know what. Then why didn't they do anything about it? The purpose of NICS, the National Instant Check System, is when somebody comes up that maybe they lied on their 4473 and they do have some mental health issues, or they were dishonorably discharged from the military, or they do have uh, some abuse issues. The purpose of the National Instant Check System is to, pardon the expression, but to red flag these people and prevent them from buying a gun. We have background checks. The problem is the information that gets or doesn't get put into that system. It's garbage in, garbage out. Now, if the FBI had been watching some of these lone wolf on the radar people, why were they able to pass background checks? Now, I know on the sales counter, I screwed up on putting the information in on a 4473, and this individual got denied because I made the mistake. We figured it out. We got it all taken care of. I made the mistake. But that person, like, it was an instant deny because I spelled his name wrong. So I know the system can work. But why are there so many holes in it now? We fought tooth and nail. Well, we didn't. The 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 lefties fought tooth and nail to have background checks. We have to have them. We have to have them. We have to have them. So we got NICS. Now they're pushing, well, we got to fix NICS. Well, we've kind of got that now too, passed through. Now they just want to take everything away. Years ago, that, like, people before me that were in my seat now, well, seats I feel, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. They've been warning for years and years and years. Hey, they're going to ban AR-15s. They're going to ban semi-automatic handguns. And for years, we just kind of poo-pooed it. Yeah, whatever. That's never going to happen in the United States. And that's the mentality of, honestly, the NRA. Well, that's not going to happen. At some point, you got to think: is it apathy or an ineptitude? At one point, is the NRA going to be held responsible for us losing our gun rights? In reality, it's not the NRA. It's not. It's not some of these other organizations that may or may not be doing what we're paying them to do. We're donating money for them to do. It's our fault. It's our fault. Because we're too damn lazy. It's time to stop being lazy. I'm not calling for violence. That's a stupid waste of time. It's time to protest. Peacefully protest. And that can be through emails. That can be through phone calls. You need to let your voice be heard. Again, go back to that Hamilton quote. You want me to read it again? Let's read it again. If the federal government should overpass the just bounds of its authority and make a tyrannical use of its power, the people, whose creature it is, must appeal to the standard that they have formed and take such measures to redress the injury done to the Constitution as the exigency may suggest and prudence justify. Do you need help understanding what exigency means? Is that going to help you? An urgent need or demand. There is an urgent need right now with our Constitution. There is an urgent need right now in your home, in your community. in your county, in your state, in your country, there is an urgent need. It is time for us to be good citizens, not just good stewards of the Second Amendment, good stewards of the Constitution. We can have our voices be heard. We don't have to burn down cities. We don't have to do stupid shit like that. We just have to speak up. We have to stand up, and we have to be heard. I don't know how else to say it. And I am just as guilty of being apathetic. There is a new generation of gun owners. More women than ever before have bought firearms for the first time. More young people, not like teenager, right? They're not buying guns. More young people, young adults, 18 and up, have bought guns than ever before. It is the next generation. That age group is on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, whatever. They're everywhere. We need to be reaching out to these people. We need to show how normal it is to own and carry a gun in the United States legally. We need to let people know how abnormal it is for people to own firearms to be violent. It is our duty as good stewards of the Second Amendment to be heard, to show safety, and to be a light for these new gun owners. Some of those people may be feeling guilty that they bought a gun. Some of these people are on the complete opposite side of the aisle. Never thought they'd ever buy a gun, but their city, their town has undergone some serious violence, and they feel like they need to buy a gun to protect themselves. Many of those people may have been shocked when they realized they had to go through a background check or a waiting period after the background check to take possession of their firearm. It was their understanding that they could just walk in anywhere, buy a gun, take it home, a fully automatic. We should be the ones teaching and educating these people, not the House of Representatives, the Democrats in the House arguing over a gun bill, throwing out the most ridiculous information. Either they are stupid or they are being deliberately lying about what a firearm is, what an AR-15, what a stupid arm brace does. They are lying. That's the information that's coming out to the public. Some of these new gun owners hear that because they believe in voting Democrat, which is fine. But when their representation tells them lies, and that's all they hear on the media, on the social, on the news, on the radio, all they hear is the negative lies about guns, then they kill the Second Amendment. Where are the 100 million gun owners in the United States? Where are we? Now, I understand that it's very difficult for us to have YouTube channels, to post anything about firearms on any social medias because we get flagged. It doesn't meet the community standards. I do get it. But maybe we should be going around hanging out at shooting ranges. Maybe we should be inviting people to go shooting with us. Maybe we should be getting involved in youth organizations. 4-H. Does anybody even know what 4-H is anymore? The scouting organization's gone to shit. That used to be a great organization for teaching people proper gun ownership and safety. 4-H has a great organization about the same. And I'm sure there are other organizations geared towards youth, church groups, whatever. We should be teaching the next generation. The left has been perverting the Constitution for years. Notice I didn't say Democrats. The left. And there are, the older I get, the more I feel like there's also lefties in the Republican Party that are happy to cause problems as well. That's where we need to be stepping in and making our voices heard. Friends, don't give up. I know the last few episodes that I've been talking about, they just seem so negative, so disheartening. I feel like you guys need to know this information. But I also think it's important that you understand that there is light in the darkness. But it's up to us to be that light. We can be responsible. We are normal. I mean, there's some of us that aren't quite so normal. But we can be the light in the darkness. We can be the one that people turn to when they have questions. We just need to educate ourselves. We need to be confident in who we are. I know it's scary. I know it's hard. And some of you might live in states where it's really hard to be pro-gun. And I get that. But don't give up. Don't give up. Friends, I appreciate you. Appreciate you hanging out. I hope you enjoyed this show. I know, again, it's kind of a downer of a show. There will be some good shows coming up. And I'm excited to take you guys along. There are still, I know we talk about changes to the podcast. I promise they're coming. I promise. It's just, it takes a little more time than I thought it would. It's taken a little bit more time than I hoped. But they're coming. I promise. Be safe. Read some good books. Pull out the Constitution. Read the Constitution. Read those founding documents, not just the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. Oh my gosh, it's late. I forgot. Just get it out and read it, okay? Get out the Federalist Papers and understand what was going on in the contemporary time. Man, there's some good books out there. I appreciate you guys so much. I know it's been 40 minutes of me ranting, but I appreciate you hanging in there. If you want to get a hold of me or the range, or the I told you, it's getting late. If you want to get a hold of the podcast, you can email it rangeminded@gmail.com. Or you can reach out to either Nick or I on our Instagram feeds, or the Range Minded Instagram feed at Range Minded. My personal Instagram, and I do Facebook as well, but not so much. But my personal Instagram is where I spend most of my time. Is Impractical Tactical, and you can find Nick at the Holster Shop or Nick Hoffer. He's got a few handles. You'll find him. I promise. You really need to be listening to his lives that he does every day. They're good stuff. Anyway, be safe, guys. Behave yourself. Remember who you are and what you stand for. My mom used to always say that. And hey, make sure you take somebody shooting. Hey gang, thanks for hanging out for this episode of the Range Minded Podcast. We really do appreciate the amount of time that you spend with us. We think it's awesome. If you have any questions or concerns or maybe an idea for a guest or a specific topic, go ahead and email us at rangeminded@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. And if you like what you heard, go ahead and give us a good like and share, because we want to really grow the community. After all, we are stewards of the Second Amendment. Anyways, we hope to see you here again next time. Peace out.